So I have a high one so that the knees can drop down a little bit. So rock the hips kind of forward so that you're sitting a little bit on the back of the bolster. All righty. So just kind of seated, sitting up tall, letting the shoulders kind of drip down our back a little bit, and just find our breath. You can rest the hands on your knees, or you can put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, whatever gets you to resonate with your breath. And drop your gaze to look down your cheekbones, and let's begin. So a full inhalation in through the nose, and placing the tongue on the roof of the mouth, exhale through the nose. Start by an inhalation to a count to 4. And an exhalation that doubles that. Again, in. And out. And in. And out. And as we breathe in, hold, and then exhale. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once again, inhale and pause and exhale. And inhale and pause and exhale. And we'll hold here for a pause and begin again. And pause and exhale and pause. Do that a couple more times. And think of the pause as not a negative thing, but definitely a positive thing. That we can pause in the moment and just let ourselves be in that moment, whether it be for that count to 4 or that count to 8, whatever you choose it to be, and be okay with that. As we inhale, lift our chest, lift our heart up towards the sky. Pause. And then as you exhale, tuck in the belly, pull the ribs back. And pause. And again, inhale, lifting the chest all the way up, rolling the shoulders back. Pause. And exhale, taking that time to draw in, breathe out all the way. And then pause and just feel what that is doing. And then come forward again on the inhale, lifting up through the chest, rolling those shoulders back. Pause, separating the collarbones. And then exhale, navel to spine, rounding, sitting back, letting the knees reach away, and pause just to enjoy that. And then just find that upright spine. Start to walk your fingers out on the inhale, and then on the exhale, start to let that arm lift. And then pause as we lift the ribs a little bit more. Inhale, coming back into upright, pause. Exhale, taking your time, walking the fingertips out to the side. And pause. Inhale. Exhale. And pause. And coming back up. And pause. Before we begin the other side, always enjoy this moment right here as we lift our ribs up and expand. And then as we bring ourselves back up again, feel how we are in that moment sitting up nice and tall. Breathe in as we start to spiral over to the right. Hold that position. And then exhale, slowly bring ourselves back to the center and pause. Again, inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Inhale, arms coming all the way up. Exhale, dive down, walking your fingertips all the way out in front of you. Stretch out and just let your tailbone rest on top of the pillow. Maybe on our next breath, we walk over to the right, reaching our left arm a little longer than our left, going a little deeper into that stretch, dropping that tailbone. And then walking it back into the center, heading over to the other side, reaching the right arm a little longer than the left, dropping that tailbone on that side, just feeling that opening of the back. Walking back to the center, noticing if you've gotten a little further out, a little deeper, forward fold. And then start to walk the hands back in again. Start to lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, bring the fingertips back behind you, whether your fingertips only are holding on the bolster, or maybe you can reach back and put the fingertips on the floor. If you've reached the floor, just lift the chest, just a soft back bend. Be aware that your head is not tense, that your chin is dropped towards your chest. And then bringing yourself back into that upright position. We're going to remove the bolster and put it off to the side. We'll bring it back in a minute. We're coming into a side lying position. So just put that off to the side. We're going to lie on whatever side feels good to you to start. When we lie on our side, we're going to come up and rest our head on our hands. Bring the knees into a 90-degree bend, hip and knee bend. And we're just going to pick up the top leg and pull the heel towards our butt. Let our hands slide down our shin and reach towards our ankle or even the top of your foot, whatever feels best. And just start to gently move that leg back behind you. Find a doable stretch that doesn't compromise the shoulder, that your shoulder still feels kind of loosey-goosey. And then draw that leg back, maybe roll the hip forward, and know that all these stretches are movable. So if you get to the ankle and you realize you can probably go to your big toe, go ahead and do that. And if you feel that you can draw that heel in a little closer, do that too as well. Just as we hold each of these for about 2 minutes, you can move yourself deeper in to the posture or into the shape, and you can breathe always and come in and out of it as we hold and draw that heel back and go into this nice quad stretch. Another minute or so, and again, you're moving in and out of it, maybe a little release and then going a little deeper. Shoulders loose, eyes looking forward, and that nice breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Or in through the nose and out through the nose, whatever feels best. If it feels good to lie completely down, do so. Another 30 more seconds hanging on here to the stretch. Release and come back into it again. And as we come out of it, you start to bring the knee on top of the other. And then just kind of circle. And the other way. And stack that knee on top. And then take the arm, bring it up towards the ceiling, and just kind of let it go over your head and back, just for a nice stretch. You're going to reach that arm up towards the ceiling, rotate it so that the palm faces back, and then bend the elbow. And you're going to place the back of the hand on your low back, or even up a little higher in between your shoulder blades, whatever feels good here. And then you're just going to begin to roll over onto your back, keeping the hand where it is. And so as we come into this easy shoulder stretch, you can make it more challenging by working the hand up your back. So mine's probably right about where my heart is, and I'm just kind of sitting back on the arm. And again, this is another one of those stretches where you can maneuver it around. You can roll back, ease it up a little higher, and just kind of, again, breathe into the shape. Nice inhale and exhale. And just let the legs kind of feel loose, and just notice what the quad feels like on that side. You just work that leg, and now we're into the arm and into the shoulder. Maybe taking the other hand and placing it on the collarbones to allow your chest to open and release. Or placing that hand on the shoulder. Sometimes a soft touch helps you to ease a little deeper into the stretches. And these front stretches are great if you're sitting for long periods of time. Take a nice deep breath, and again, exhale, let your body release. Ribs soften, jaw soften, legs are soft. Again, you can always come out of it and move the arm around a little bit until you feel another stretch touching somewhere else in the shoulder. We're almost 3/4 of the way through. So a nice deep breath, inhale, pause at the top. And then exhale, slowly let all the air out of the lungs. When you feel the ribs deflate and you melt into the mat, let's roll back over onto our side. Extend that arm slowly up towards the ceiling, and then a little circle. And the other way. We're going to bring that hand down and push ourselves up. And we're going to take that arm and we're going to bring it over to the opposite knee. Same arm we just worked. And you're just going to lift up and just let yourself spiral a little bit. Bring it back and into the center. Do the other side and just notice the differences between your sides. And we'll make our way over onto the other side. So knees are bent to 90-90. Your hand is placed wherever it feels best. And we'll start by grabbing our shin or our ankle and moving it behind. And again, we're not stagnant. We're not holding a particular place or a shape that's uncomfortable. You want to find a shape that's doable. And like I said, if it becomes uncomfortable, you release a little bit and go back into it again. So drawing the knee back, the heel towards your glutes, your shoulders relaxed. You haven't even got there yet. So Draw that heel in towards you. Maybe roll the hip forward a little bit to deepen the stretch. And then come out of it and go right back into it again, maybe holding the foot so that you get more of a stretch through the ankle. And again, you're drawing the heel towards your glute. Breathing gently into each place and each space. And exhaling, reaching the knee away. Allowing the shoulder to release. Allowing your hip to roll forward and back a little bit. Maybe releasing it and coming back into it again. And that nice soft breath. Deepening the stretch by drawing the heel back. Release a little bit and head back into it again. And then as you release, slowly bring it forward. Bring that leg on top of the other in a couple circles. And the other way. And then we'll stack the knees on top of each other. Reach the arm up towards the sky. Get a little bit over the head like a windshield wiper. And we do these just to let our next place that we're going to, like we're heading into the shoulder, know that it's going to be safe. It's okay. We're going to bend the elbow, bring the hand so the palm is facing behind you or out, not toward you. And the back of the hand is either on the low back, or you can work it up higher, or just start low and then maybe work your way up higher as we roll over. Slowly, palm is going to be on the floor. And then as we, again, hold this particular position, it's not stagnant, it's not still, it's always a moving position. Drop your gaze, look down your cheekbones. Again, I like the tactile cue, maybe the hand on the collarbone, just kind of engaging fingertips running down the collarbone to allow the shoulders to open and release. And maybe touching the shoulder a little bit to help release it and let it come down towards the mat. And then maybe the other hand just rests by your side. And breathing into all the little small spaces that need a little bit of stretch. So we want to roll off and come back into it. Maybe move the hand a little deeper up into the middle of the back. So mine's probably right about where my sternum is. So I want to melt my sternum into the mat, and so maybe the hand there, the solar plexus. And notice the differences between your sides, our good and gooder sides. Let the legs relax, maybe windshield wiper them. Turn your head over to one shoulder. The head melts into the mat, the jaw relax, the eyes soften. You maybe turn your head back the other way. And then move it back and into the center. And then rolling back over onto that side. Letting the arm extend back up to the ceiling again, that little circle. And we'll bring ourselves back up into a seated position. Ankles crossed, arm comes across the body, lift the chest all the way up as we spiral, and notice if there's a difference in our twists. Bring ourselves back into the center and then over to the other side. And then we'll back into the center, and we're going to come into a tabletop position. So hands are directly under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and we're just going to start to circle. And as you circle, it's as if you're stirring your hips and stirring your shoulders. And the other way. So the stirring's going to get a little bit bigger as we do the work. I feel like my music got super loud all of a sudden. And then we're going to go deeper. So walk the hands out a little bit further. As you come forward, let the hips come forward too as well. Lift your chest and then circle around. So we're going to do a few in this direction. Pause when our hips reach the center, reach through our heart. It's kind of like an up dog. So you want to open up the collarbones. Coming back into the center. Pause here. We're going to go the other way. Stirring the shoulders and the hips. Come into the center, pause for a little bit, lifting up through the chest, and then lift the belly and sit back. And come forward. And as you come forward, feel that you can tuck the tailbone in and then lift up from the heart. And I want the soft part of your elbows to spiral forward as we lift our chest through. And then lift up through the belly and bring ourselves back. This waving kind of motion is going to help us when we reach to down dog. So I want you to roll the shoulders back and down, kind of into an up dog. Try not to dump too much into your lower back. And then when we come into this somewhat of an up dog, we're going to stay here, push into the hands strongly, and we're just going to tilt our hips. And just tilt our hips from side to side. Again, not allowing ourselves to dump into the lower back. So really use your abdominals. As you shift from side to side, again, thinking about shoulders, push it away. Keep the shoulders out of the ear. And then we're going to come back into tabletop. Walk our hands in. And we're going to take our right foot and step it forward. Well, as we step it forward, we got a nice little lunge here, and you know, we're going to rock it out before we move into our next holding pattern. So stretching forward and back, and you want to walk. I have my right foot in front, so walk your right foot out a little bit further each time, just a little inch further so we get a little deeper into that hip stretch. And I like to use a block in my pigeon pose. So I'm going to take the block, I'm going to keep it close to my right foot, and I'm going to kind of inch my right foot over to the left hand. I'm going to bring the right knee down towards the floor. And this is how we're going to get into our pigeon pose. So our right hip is really high off the floor. So I like to take the block. I'm just going to sit it underneath my hip. And that way I can focus completely on this stretch. Okay. Now the foot further out in front of us is harder and closer to us is easier. So you somewhere into this position, you're going to place that knee down. So once we have our position that we want to be in, you can take your bolster, bring it on over to all these props, just so we can lounge into a nice shape. Elbows on the bolster. We're in that pigeon pose. Now the leg that's back there, it's going to kind of roll around. I want your big toe to be on the floor so that your leg is nice and straight. Well, we'll start here on our elbows just to allow the hip to release. And again, nothing is a holding pattern. We're always going to move in and out of and maybe go a little deeper in each of our positions. We have 2 minutes here. So just kind of maneuver around. Maybe take the block away that's under your hip. or the pillow that you have under your right hip. You can also move the bolster out a little bit further so that can send your body out a little bit deeper, get a little over that thigh. Now, if you start to feel numbness or tingling in your knee or your hip, that means we're not in a good spot. So don't hang out there too long. Come out of it and move yourself into a place that you don't feel numbness or tingling. Not a good thing. And again, we're breathing into our shape and we're almost through it. So maybe another 30 more seconds here as we stretch out our hip. We can also come a little bit even deeper by moving the bolster out a little bit further and bringing ourselves completely down to the floor. Stack our hands, put our forehead down. Whatever kind of shape that feels good to you. And then take a nice inhalation. And on your exhalation, hands move underneath your shoulders. We curl our back toe under, push into it, and send that leg back underneath us. So we're back into our tabletop position. Kind of shake our hips from side to side. Before we move on, walk our hands out, sit back into child's pose. And then find your tabletop. And we're going to move on to the other side. Grab all your toys, bring them back. And we'll move the block over to the other side. So, tabletop, step the left foot forward. And as we're in this position, we rock back and forth. Maybe ease that foot out a little bit wider, give ourselves a little more stretch through the hip so that our knee doesn't go over our ankle. Inhale, back and forth. And then when you're ready, we'll find that nice lunge position. An inchworm our foot, our left over to our right hand. Drop the knee down and position it where you feel safe. Like I said, the more perpendicular to the front edge of your mat or your bolster, the harder it is for your hip. The closer it is to you, the less. So you figure where you need to place that. Use the block or a pillow underneath your hip to give you a little support in your shape. Make sure that back leg is stretched all the way out and you got your big toe on the floor. I'm going to start out with the bolster with my elbows on top. And again, feeling long through the spine, reach it away. Lift the belly, gaze softens, looks forward. Work on that back leg, stretch it out a little bit. Try to feel like you're not turning inward or outward, that you try to feel that leg as straight as possible and close. Don't let it run away. And breathe. And pigeon pose is a great way to open up the hips and the lower back. And finding a nice supported place to do it helps us to get stronger in our hips. Again, nothing is immovable. Everything can be moved. And as you start to ease into the shape, you can move things out of the way and go a little deeper. And find a little more intensity in our shapes. Keeping our back straight and long and not round. Feeling that breath work long. That count of 4 on the inhale and the long count of 8. Enjoying the pause in between. Feel the inhalation as you work your hands underneath your shoulder. Feel that pause, curl that back toe under, lift the knee up, slide the left leg back, bring both legs back into our tabletop position. And we're going to use the bolster for the next one just to start to support. So the next holding pattern is called frog. Frog is just like child's pose, but the feet don't touch. You want your knees to go wider, and you can even go wider than your mat. So it's kind of like a bent knee straddle. So go as wide as your inner thighs will allow you, and kind of sit back into it a little bit. And we're going to take the bolster and bring it right in front of us. I'm not really going to put it underneath our hips. We're just going to bring ourselves over the top of it. And this gives our upper body support as we work on stretching the inner thighs. So elbows can be up on the bolster to start, if that feels good, or it can come directly down to the floor. But start to ease those legs open to your best feeling of shape here. You want the back to be nice and long, the gaze looking down your cheekbones. And breathing in and out. And remember, you can always come out of a shape if it doesn't feel right to you. You can intensify the shape. Allow any tension in the lower back to let go, releasing the tailbone. Come out of a shape and then go back into it. Find your breath. We can also take the bolster away and come down a little bit lower to the floor. Reaching the chest away. Slowly bringing the hands underneath our shoulders, bringing the legs in nice and slow, curling the toes under, and sitting back into our heels for hero pose. So when we do that, you want to curl the toes under, find again a shape with our feet that feel good, and then bring our hips directly over top of our heels. Let the hands just rest on top of our thighs. Close your eyes. If that becomes uncomfortable with the toes curled under, maybe flatten out the toes and be balancing on the shins, but start to work our weight back over our heels wherever you are. And feel the shape that's best for you. Where do you need that stretch? Wearing shoes all the time, getting that stretch in the toes might be the place that you need to feel that. Tucking in the tailbone a little bit, bringing the chest back. Rocking back and forth, maybe trying a little bit with the toes flattened out. You feel what's best for you. Remember that we want to feel challenged in the particular shape, but not to the point of uncomfortable. I'm going to just go to that edge. Moving the hands forward for a moment, positioning so that you are flat on the top of your feet. Sit back towards your heels, circle the hands around behind you. If your fingertips touch the floor, fine. If you need a block, maybe blocks by your feet can help you bring it back there. And the hands can touch the blocks, whatever it takes to raise the floor. Push into the floor and lift your hips up. We're only going to stay here for 2 more breaths. And then tucking in the tailbone, curling and coming back into that seated posture. Round the spine and bring the hands in front. Curl your toes under and lift your hips up into our down dog. And while you're in your down dog, you can drop your heels down and come back up to your toes. Kind of rock back and forth. Since we've been sitting on our ankles and our toes, work it out, maybe treading a little bit, alternating those heels. And I want you to decide whether being on your toes is where you need to be or lowering the heels. Pick which one you like and start to reach your fingers away from and soften through the elbows and spiral the soft part of your elbows forward as you bend your elbows a little bit and reach your chest forward, not so much your chin. Take a nice deep breath. Walk those hands out a little bit further, deepening your down dog. And lift up high on those tippy toes, rounding the spine, bringing your head forward in between your arms, and then lift up even higher and bring yourself back. Breathing in and out as you raise up high on your toes, bring yourself forward, and then higher as you shift your weight back. Lower the heels if you can. Then lift all the way up to the tippy toes again, rounding your spine. You're coming forward over your wrists and then flattening out your back, and we're finding our plank position. Keep reaching your chest forward. Holding here. Couple breaths. Nice deep breath. Inhale, exhale, drop your chin down. Put your head in between your arms as you round and sit back towards your down dog again. And we're going to walk our feet in to our hands. Find a half lift. Forward fold. And let's make our way up slowly, one vertebra at a time, reaching the arms all the way up. And exhale into the heart center. So we're going to grab our blocks for the next stretch. We use one to help with the shape, and the other one we're going to actually stand on. So I'm going to start with standing my left foot on top so that my knee is already in a bent position. And we've done this with both feet flat on the floor, but which is a little bit change here. Nice deep breath, inhale. As you come up, forward fold. And bring your block close by. I have it on the high setting. And I want you not to lock out your right leg, but to keep it a soft bend. And you're going to start to lift that block out away from you. So shift your weight back into your heels, and on your next breath, start to walk your brick over to the left
And reach your right hand longer than your left as we stretch through the right hip. So this is another holding pattern. Shift your weight back as you reach that block away. The further it goes away, the deeper you are going into that right glute stretch. Relaxing through the head, the neck, and the shoulders. Keep stretching that block away. If you want, you can inch it over to the left a little bit more, get a little deeper into that twist. Couple more breaths here. We're going to move the block in for a final place. We'll place our right hand right on the brick. And we'll start to twist. So take your left hand into the crease of the left hip and start to spiral yourself around and reach up. Start to push into that left leg. And then slowly let that arm come down. Take a nice deep breath, let both arms hang, and you're just gonna roll up slowly. Inhaling, letting the arms lift towards the sky. And exhale, hands coming down and into the heart center. We're gonna shift on over to the other side. So let's place the right foot on top of the block. So that foot is already bent, that knee. Nice deep breath, inhale as we come up. Exhale into forward fold. Taking that block, and we're going to slowly inch it over to the right. And remember, the left knee isn't locked. We're not pushing it back. It's soft. I'm going to reach that block away, and then take your left hand and reach it out further. We're hanging out over the right leg. Looking for that stretch, reaching that left hand longer than our right hand. Holding that stretch. Feeling it run up the side of the body, all the way down and into that heel. Letting the shoulders relax, maybe inching that block a little bit more over to the right side. And then slowly bringing it back in. Placing our left hand on top of the block, taking our right hand in the crease of our right hip and start to spiral around. Draw that right shoulder back. Try to straighten out the left. And then if it feels good, extend that right arm up towards the sky. Couple more breaths here. Opening up that chest, reaching that spine really long, reaching the arms straight up tall. And slowly coming out of it, bringing everything back down to the mat, round the spine, let it arms dangle. And then we roll up slowly, lifting the arms up. And exhale back into the heart center. Let's step our foot off of the block and bring blocks at the front edge of the mat. Little vinyasa flow here. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale, arms coming up, forward folds, hands to the blocks. Let's step our right foot back, then our left foot back. We're going to hang here in a plank position. Draw the shoulders back, reach your chest forward. Let's take a nice deep breath, and on your exhale, pull the right knee into the block and round the spine. And send it back. Left knee, nice flat back. Left knee comes in and we round the spine. And send it back. Take a nice deep breath, and on your exhale, round the spine. Right knee comes in, but step that foot forward. So we're in a nice high lunge. You can have your right foot to the outside of the block or to the inside of the block, whatever works best for you. Staying up high on that back toe. Let's come into high crescent. So bringing our arms up. Nice deep breath. Send that hip forward, sinking down into that stretch. We're going to hold this for a few breaths before we move. Take a nice deep inhale, nice exhale, sinking into that hip stretch, that hip opener. Bringing the hands down into the heart. Let's twist off to the right. As far as you can go with your waistline, not your head. And then on your exhale, you're going to bring the left elbow to the outside of the right. Keep your spine really long, reaching away. Nice big exhale, lift the body back up. Arms up towards the sky, nice deep breath. And exhale into a forward fold. Take the right leg and lift it and send it back. Find your plank position, draw those shoulders down, and on your exhale, pick up the left knee, pull it in and round the spine and step it forward. Nice high lunge. Feel strong before you lift. When you're ready, come up. If you're not ready, then don't come up. All the way up if you have it. Arms here up towards the sky, hips shooting forward. Lift your chest, lift your gaze. Once you feel yourself grounded and rooted, and you're ready to move to the next shape, bring the hands into the heart center. Nice full inhalation, and we twist to the left to your degree. And if you'd like to come forward and place the elbow on the outside of the left knee, go ahead. While you're there, you're reaching your chest long, pressing the palms together. Exhale, lift up. Ooh, not too much lifting up. Arms coming up. Exhale, forward fold. Step the left foot back. Find your plank. And then bring the knees down to the mat. Shift your weight back towards your heels for a much needed child's pose. Hands can go on to the mat, reach back, head down in between the arms, or you can even stack fists or hands in front and find that resting pose that you need, or that resting shape. Letting the arms maybe rest by your side and the forehead come down to the mat, or you can keep the arms in front. Maybe even grab your bolster. Couple more breaths here. Moving the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's bring our legs around to the front. Stretching the legs out in front of us into staff pose. Finding our sits bones rooted on the ground. We're going to take the belly forward, not just the arms reaching. So as you lift up really tall, maybe even push down into the floor to lift yourself up tall, draw the tops of your feet towards your shins and start to push your hands firmly into the ground as your chest reaches forward. Your hips are hinging forward towards your thighs. Place your hands in a space that can help you or assist you or even guide you deeper into the staff pose. You can even take your 2 fingers and grab a hold of your big toes if that's where you are, and bring your chest forward more. There's a couple other different hand holds. If you're inclined, can hold the outside of your feet and draw your chest forward even still deeper into that stretch. And one more handhold is wrists on top of your toes and then wrap your hands to the bottom of your feet. So just another avenue to take, find that shape that works best for you. And you can feel your shoulders softening, the hamstrings softening, the forehead softening. Maybe wherever you are, walking your hands over to the left leg. If your right hand can go to the outside of your foot or even to the outside of your shin, reach a little further with your left hand and then just sweep it back as we go into a nice little twist. Nice deep breath, inhale. And then exhale, let that arm lower and bring it back. So we're back into the center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So wherever your hand hold is, let it work its way over to the other side. Reach the right hand longer and then sweep it back, not up, back, just opening up, breathing in. And then exhale, lowering that arm, coming back forward. And then letting the hands slide back slowly. We're gonna scoot ourselves forward and roll down very easily. So take our body forward. We know this from Pilates. Roll down one vertebra at a time, lifting the arms to follow us all the way down towards the floor. Walk the feet in and then pull them into your chest. We're going to start by taking our whole body, and it doesn't matter which side, pick a side. We're just going to roll over onto it. Even your shoulder, bring the palms on top of each other. Reach the fingers all the way away. Maybe the top hand can reach a little longer. And we're going to take the top hand and we're going to let it circle around over our head and let the elbow fall towards the floor. And maybe we just hold this for a few breaths. You can also take your left hand or your the bottom hand and put it right on top of the knee and give yourself a little more encouragement into that twist. Again, we're not forcing ourselves into a particular shape. There's no right or wrong. And a couple breaths here. To bring ourselves out of it, wait for an exhale. And slowly roll ourselves over onto our back, bringing both knees into the chest. Rock from side to side. And we're going to head on over to the other side. So completely roll over onto that side, palms on top of each other. Reach the top hand. Bringing ourselves back on the exhale. Bringing ourselves up to easy seat. Taking the ankles and crossing them in front. Letting the hands rest on top of the thighs. Arms lift. Dive straight down and reach back behind you. Lift them up. And again, dive down, reach back behind you. Lifting up. Hands together, forward fold.